back to our broadcast coming to you from Hawaii. I'm Alfred Asenas. Earlier, we said that we were going to join one of our own from here in Hawaii to talk about small business and how it's affected. Where he's actually joining us here in a bit, but I wanted to throw the question, to pose the question to my fellow correspondents here about small businesses in general, whether you own one, whether you know someone or help someone with a small business or patronize them. We just wanted to throw the question, how do you do your part in supporting small businesses, which is pretty much the one that's driving whatever's left of the economy. We're going to start with you, Myla. What's your experience like, with small businesses there in your neighborhood?
Well, Alfred, I'm actually a small business owner as well. I have a full-time work and also a small business owner. I own a company called East West. So that means what we do is sort of like an offshore technical services, meaning if you need work done, if you need a website, a web application done for you, that's our job. And then we send that to the Philippines because we have programmers there doing the job. The purpose of this is some companies, especially the small company, they don't want to pay a lot of money for them to build an application for them. So this is another option for them if you want. So we're like in the middle one. We're the one doing project management, because me and my husband, we're both in IT, so we know how it works. We know how to design projects and things like that. And then we send it to the Philippines. It all started when we have friends. So it all started with that. We just want to help them. And we have connections here in the US where they need some programmers. They don't have enough funds. So that during this COVID-19, that's still working for us because everything is online. We do everything online. So there was really no effect on our work. It's just that there are some clients of us, we have less clients or projects now because of COVID-19, because some of them are not operational and they don't need that much projects to work on. So that's the only effect that has on for us. But as far as working online and all these things, there was no effect on that one.
That's interesting to note that now the info technology community, the industry, now it seems to have absorbed a whole lot of the functions that a lot of corporations, big or small, normally do, which involves face-to-face interaction. But now they have to go, use web technology. So what kind of advice would you like to share, to your peers there in the industry or those who may want to venture in that kind of business?
One advice is if there's no need for you to go to the office, just stay at home. That's what everyone, every time we have reporting anyway, that's what all the states are saying. If there's no need for you to go to the office and you have an option to telework, just stay at home and I know a lot of companies are saving money right now. So that offshore work is really beneficial right now. It's useful right now. So you might probably want to go to that route as well. Even the company I work to, I'm a full-time worker as well. We do all of our projects, we send it offshore. A lot of corporates now are sending their projects offshore. That's why we got into this kind of business as well. So that's my only advice right now.
Well, hang in there, Myla. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you guys are hanging in there, you and your husband, and best wishes, and hopefully you'll continue to support whoever else needs your services. And best of luck to you. Let's go to Texas to Kathleen, now I know you know folks who manage small businesses. They've even ventured. I think you featured one that's already creating some new ideas, maybe new clientele. What's going on there in the Lone Star State as far as small businesses, Kathleen?
Well, howdy and aloha from Texas, Alfred. Well, here in Corpus Christi, Texas, the community or the community is comprised of many small businesses, and in fact, here in our town, small businesses are the lifeblood of the community. And there is one particular business that I had became acquainted with. It was a French pastry or French bakery that had just started like a year ago or a couple of years ago. And I know that this pandemic lockdown crisis has hit them pretty hard. And so whenever I have the opportunity to pass by their establishment, whenever I go to work or whenever I have errands to run, I try to stop by and pick up a coffee. They have a really great lavender latte. It's like a latte with lavender flowers in it. It's really delicious. And they also have a variety of different French style pastries like croissants, different kind of eclairs. It's really delicious. And whenever I go there, of course they're practicing the social distancing, the mask. Everything is disinfected. They're very strict about that. And but they're also they're striving to make sure that they can succeed, that they can keep themselves afloat financially. And so what I do whenever I have the chance, I would sometimes post on my social media to help promote them a little bit, to kind of give them some publicity, free publicity. I would post it on my Facebook. Enjoyed a great croissant here at Bien Mérité. That's the name of the French bakery, which means well deserved in French. And I would also invite some of my friends to come with me, and we would take pictures together in front of their mural. They have a nice, beautiful mural in their storefront. And so different things that I can do to kind of help promote them and give them some exposure to, draw more interest. And, of course, you have a lot of people that see your post like, oh, where did you get that? That looks so great. It's like, oh yeah, go here to this place. It's really awesome. And, that's one of the ways that I do it, Alfred.
Well, if I may suggest, I know we've discussed this and there's another small business that I think you touched on, whether it's in Texas or elsewhere. You can wash it all down, all that pastry stuff. Wash it all down with some Dalgona coffee. How about that, Kathleen?
Well, the Dalgona coffee, that's true, Alfred. We've had this discussion many times. People of our age range, we have a difficult time whipping up that Dalgona coffee and getting that fluffy thing going on. It's only the millennials that seem to have the knack for doing it. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best to break that myth. So, one of these days that mixture will float on top. We'll okay, Alfred.
Well, thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you.
We're going to segue now to our special guest today, as he is getting ready to show us his another side of our fellow correspondent. Let me just introduce, him. He's been with us for in the network for 6 years now, and actually been a correspondent longer than I have, which equates to more experience. But although we haven't seen him a whole lot, in the recent months during the pandemic, you may have seen his work, his photographs and videos, which we here at Eagle News have used as B-roll in our features, especially what's going on here in this part of the world, in Hawaii. Now, there's one more interesting aspect about our special guest, and which will be the focus of our discussion. And without further ado, let me introduce, welcome back, Ron Hamilton. Aloha, Ron. Can you hear us?
Aloha. How do you read me?
Oh, loud and clear,
okay,
and
good.
I can smell the beach from here. How are you doing so far?
Doing well, Alfred. Everything's doing really well here in Waikiki.
We want to thank you. I know it's been a busy day for you, but thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Let's talk about another side of Ron Hamilton that a whole lot of people don't know, which you happen to be a small business owner. What kind of business do you own, sir?
So, Al, what we do here at my company is my wife and I own a company called Wheel Care Oahu. It's a non-emergency medical transportation business. What we do is we have gurney transport, we have wheelchair transport, and we take patients to their doctor's appointments and hospital visits. It's a specialized transportation, it's like a taxi, in between a taxi and an ambulance. So it costs more than a taxi, but less than an ambulance.
That's great. That's great to know. Now, how many years have you, been in that venture, sir?
So I've been doing this since 2008. In addition to my role at Eagle News, at one point, in Hawaii, it's very hard to get by. As you well know, making ends meet. You have both spouses have to work. Sometimes people have 2 or 3 jobs. At one point, I was, in addition to Eagle News, I was also driving my patients. I was a caregiver for a patient, and I was working at a electrician's office as an estimator. So I had 4 full-time jobs at one point, juggling that to survive here in Hawaii.
Now, for your business as a handy van operator. Are there any special qualifications you had to go through, or as far as being qualified to operate that kind of vehicle?
And not really. The only thing is you want to start your own business. If you're going to come work for somebody, a driver's license is all it takes. There may be additional requirements that the company may instill, such as first aid certification or so on and so forth, but that is not necessary. When I started my business, Wheel Care Oahu, I wanted to stand out above the crowd. So I went through CNA school, become a certified nurse's assistant, to get a license before I started my company, so I could offer both aspects of the caregiving services. Not only transportation, but also stay with the patient, take notes, and help with small emergencies that may spring up when you're dealing with patients. But that is not required. It's just something good to have. If you're going to start your own business, here in Hawaii, you have to deal with the Department of Transportation, the Public Utilities Commission, and the state licensing office to have a business in the first place. So it is quite involved to start a business like here in the Aloha State.
That's great to know, Ron. It looks like, you put yourself above and beyond, normally what other operators would normally provide. And just for our audience sake, the pictures and the videos you've seen are the actual shots that our friend Ron has provided us in our more recent reports. And we want to thank you, Ron, for all that footage. But we want to ask up front, how has the pandemic affected your business?
Yes, sir. Thank you for asking. The pandemic has affected my business, and that less people are actually going to the doctor. Doctors are seeing less patients than normal because they don't want to infect the other patients or risk infection. And a lot of nursing homes here, where I get most of my patients from, they are not letting people out for non-emergency purposes. So doctors' visits have gone way down. So mostly what I do is patients that have no choice, such as dialysis patients or hospital discharges. This has affected the business in that I'm doing about 50% less business than usual in these past few months. Now, to fight that off, the government has provided a PPP program, which is Payroll Protection Program. And to qualify for that, it's pretty easy. There are some forms you fill out online. It's pretty easy to show how much money you are making, and that you have to state that your business has suffered because of the COVID-19 virus. And then they will give you a loan for some money. Now, a loan, I don't want a loan. I want money. So they offer forgiveness. They will offer forgiveness for your loan. But that is a bit harder to do. It is not so simple that you're just going to fill it out to get your loan. To get forgiveness, you have to jump through quite a few more hoops. And I'm still in that process right now. It's an 8-week process to get your loan forgiveness. So I'm waiting to see if I do everything correctly so I can get my money back.
It's good to hear that you're availing of some of the government programs that's already being offered, and I think we've touched. Some of us here in Eagle News have touched on those programs more than once, and that's interesting to know from your firsthand experience. You know what, you've already got your equipment there laid out. I was hoping you'd give us a show and tell, and how do you set up your equipment, especially if you have to pick up a patient?
Well, I don't know what you can see with the camera, Al, but this is my gurney. Can you see that clearly?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, keep going.
So we have a ramp in the back. Roll the patient in like this. Get him inside the van. And then we have some steps. He was strapped up. The gurney itself has some seatbelts on. Strap him down properly. Hold up your ramp. And then away you go. In the case of a wheelchair, I have another mannequin. We have a ramp on the side. You see clip down? And then we have a wheelchair ramp like this. We roll it in like this. Again, roll it in. Down, and away you go. It's just that simple.
And of course, it's a great demonstration there, by the way, Ron. You got your two vehicles, configured and to be able to cater to different ways of transporting patients and their personal equipment. But of course, you yourself have to protect yourself, from getting sick. Can you just describe what kind of additional precautions have you applied to yourself?
Yes, sir. So typically, you have to wear a mask everywhere you go here in Hawaii. So it's not much different from my job. We wear masks every time we're in contact with patients or in any medical facilities. Also, medical facilities require you take a temperature check before you come in, and they ask a series of questions about your exposure to COVID and any health-related things that might show that you're infected. As long as you pass those, you're allowed to go in and get the patient. So I have my temperature taken 5-6 times every day, and I go through the screening 5-6 times a day. So I'm pretty safe on that end. Regarding my vehicles, after every patient, we wipe down everything with strong alcohol wipes that we get from the hospital itself. It's not the one you get from Walmart. This is not your typical stuff. This is high quality, dangerous chemicals for your skin. So you have to wear rubber gloves, wipe down everything with the disinfectant, and then you're good for another patient after that.
Well, thank you, Ron. I do hope, wish you the best for you and your wife and the business. And please take care of yourself. And we look forward to seeing more of your photos and videos here on Eagle News. Take care of yourself, sir. Mahalo.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Al.
When we come back, we'll have more discussion with our correspondents about small business. Plus, we'll visit Eliana's Kitchen in Southern California. We'll be right back. This is Eagle News.
Turuan din natin ang mga bata ng tamang paghugas ng mga kamay. Basain ang kamay ng tubig at lagyan ng sabon. Kuskusin ang iyong mga palad. Gayon din ang pagitan ng mga daliri. Pati na ang likod ng mga palad at daliri. Ganon din ang iyong hinalaki, kasama ang mga dulo ng iyong mga daliri. Pagkatapos ay iyong palapulsuhan. Gawin ito ng kahit 20 segundo. Pagkatapos ay banlawan ng tubig at patuyuin.
Alfred Cenas from Hawaii once again for Eagle News America. We're going to continue the topic on small businesses. And a few minutes ago, we spoke with Ron Hamilton from Waikiki in regards to his handyman service, which, just like any other small business, it has been affected by the pandemic. And I want to turn the next discussion with Anna Cui, who's very, with the healthcare industry near and dear to her heart. I know, Anna, we discussed offline about, of course, the complexities involving healthcare providers having to entrust, outside contract, especially like in Ron's case, to transport patients. What's your experience with those kinds of small businesses, Anna?
Yeah, so in healthcare here in Las Vegas, I work with a company, and that's why I asked if he's contracted with insurance companies, because unfortunately, with all the regulations, you have to go through a lot of policies to be able to partner with facilities or even hospitals to provide those type of services. So here we have companies that actually use vendors like Lyft to transport patients if those patients are not needing any type of like gurney or wheelchair. If the patients are ambulatory, they're able to do that. But there are those companies similar to Ron's business where they actually provide, gurney transport and wheelchair and things like that. So, yeah.
And offline, I know Ron and I touched on the fact that, in Honolulu and even in other cities like the ones in Florida, where you have an increasing number of population of senior citizens and even veterans. Is it similar like that in Vegas, Anna?
Definitely, yes. I mean, a lot of people, retire here. So a lot of people move here, or even the ones that we refer to as snowbirds. They come here. There's a huge population of seniors that decide to stay here in Las Vegas because of the weather, especially those with like respiratory disorders, chronic illnesses. It's better for them to be here rather than, back east where it's more humid. So the weather here, the dryness of the weather here helps them. So, during this time though, the pandemic, a lot of, because of like the telehealth, a lot of the seniors are staying home. So they utilize their doctor visits through telehealth, whether it's just over the phone or video. So, which has been a positive thing for them.
Of course, you yourself, interact with patients who and some of them may need to avail of these services. If there's any advice you would like to offer, them or those who want to, who are in this industry, what kind of advice would you like to share with them?
For patients, we constantly remind our seniors, especially those with chronic illnesses. Actually, right now, they are really just opting to stay home. I mean, they're not. Although some of the primary care clinics, so I deal more with primary care, they are opening more now in the recent month, where they can actually go in to see their doctors in the office. But more patients right now are opting to just continue with telehealth, and they're going into the offices if they really have to. But right now, I would say still about 80% of appointments are made just through telehealth. So, for those, especially here in Las Vegas, we constantly remind them, be wary of the weather. If it's windy, like today, it's very windy, very dusty outside. Those with chronic respiratory illnesses, we advise them to stay home, stay indoors when conditions are that way. And then, of course, with, summer in the heat, we advise them to continue to also stay hydrated, especially during these times.
Anna, we always appreciate your experience there, with healthcare, and of course, interacting with small businesses, especially there in your part of the world. Looking forward always to what's going on there in Vegas. Thanks again.